Welcome to 10.2 factoring. So I'm going to do some notes and then I'm going to run through some examples. For factoring here, the actual way to factor by hand without a calculator is going to be the way that's set up 1 through 6 here. So what you see on 1 through 6, this is the way to factor in geometry, algebra 2, pre-calculus. I'm going to run through that first, and then I'm going to show you a different way. So at first, we have to factor out a GCF if there is one. GCF just means you're looking at each individual term, so like 28x to the 4th, and we're going to break it down. So 28 is 7 times 4, 7's a prime number, so we're going to do these factor trees. We did these before. And then x to the 4th means there's 1, 2, 3, 4 x's. So I'm going to kind of just write that down. 28x to the 4th is 2 times 7 times x times x times x times x. 16, break it down, 4 and 4, 2 and 2. 2 is, those are prime numbers. X to the 3rd means there's 3 x's. So 16x to the 3rd means prime, writing it on prime factors, 4 2's, 3 x's. And then let's break down 80. 80 is 8 and 10. Does not matter how you break these down. The cool thing about prime factors is it always breaks down, no matter what numbers you choose, in the end it'll always break down to the exact same prime numbers. So 80x squared is 1, 2, 3, 4 2's, a 5, and 2 x's. All right, now this is the key to this. So we have what's in common with all of them. So we have pair of 2's, so greatest common factor, another pair of 2's. I don't have another 2's with all of them. The next thing we have is x's. We have x and another x. So our greatest common factor is a pair of 2's, another 2, an x and an x. So we put 2 times 2 is 4, x times x is x squared. So your greatest common factor is 4x squared. Okay, so if we're going to divide out 4x squared out of each term, so we're going to put 4x squared on the outside, what's left is going to be what, if you divide it out. So what's left of, so if I take a 4x squared out, I have 7x squared left of the first term. If I divide the 16x to the 3rd divided by 4x squared, it's going to be 2 times 2 times x, so that's 2 times 2 is 4, so it'll be plus 4x. And if I divide the last one by 80x squared divided by 4x squared, you're going to get 2 times 2 is 4 times 5 is 80. So plus 20, sorry, 20. All right, so there's your first step. That's a long first step, but that's your first step. Now we have to multiply first and third terms together, so a times c. So we have a, b, c. A is always with the x squared term, b is always with the x term, and c is the constant all by itself. So now we do a times c. So that's 7 times 20, which is 140. And now we're on the step, so that's step 1, step 2, step 3 is find two numbers that multiply to that number that I just found and adds up to the middle value b. So multiplies to 140, multiplies to 140, and adds up to 4. So I just kind of start looking at numbers that multiply to 140 and add up to 4. So that's 7 and 20. No, those won't add up to 4. Oh wait, I messed up. I goofed up. There should be a subtraction here. So that should be a negative 140. Oh no. So that'd be negative 20 and 7 is negative 13. Let me show you on Desmos how to get this. So it's what two numbers multiply. So we don't know what two numbers they are. They're going to multiply to negative 140, and the two numbers are going to add to 4. So let's do this on Desmos quick. I actually have this all set up. So x times y equals negative 140, and x plus y equals 4. If you find the intersection, those are your numbers we're looking for. So negative 10 and 14. Negative 10 and 14. So negative 10 and 14. And what we're going to do is we're in the box. So the two numbers, negative 10 and 14. Those are going to be the two numbers we're looking for. So in the box, the top left, I put the A term. Bottom right, I put the C term. Then negative 10 and 14 go in the other two boxes, but they are going to split up. What negative 10 and 14 add up to 4. We're going to need them to add up to 4x, so it's going to be, we're going to put the variables, the b variable on, so negative 10x and 14x. And our last step is to take out the greatest common factor of each row. So on the bottom row, the biggest number and or variable that we can take out of the bottom row is 10. Because this first term is negative, we're going to take a negative out, so it'll be a negative 10. The greatest common factor of the top row is 7, and they both share an x, so 7x. The greatest common factor of the last column, it looks like a 2, and that's it. And because this 14 here is positive, that'll be a positive 2. And the greatest common factor of the first column, between 7 and 10, it's just 1, but they both have an x, so it'll be x. So our ultimate factors are 4x squared, that's your greatest common factor, x plus 2, that's on the outside here, and 7x minus 10. And that is 28x to the fourth plus 16x cubed minus 18x squared, all factored out into the smallest factors you can possibly have. So that's how we do it by hand. Now I'm going to show you how to do this on Desmos. So the first one, we have y squared plus 13y plus 40. First thing, so this is going to be Desmos. First thing, we're going to change those y's to 2 x's. So change them to x's. So always change the variables to x's. Because on Desmos, we're graphing. Graphing uses, it's going to want y equals, and you don't even need the y equals. We just are going to have x squared. So it's the x-axis and y-axis, and since we're not putting a y equals in here, I'm not going to put it in. You can if you'd like. We're just looking at the x. So replace them with x, and what we're looking for is your solutions. We're just looking for solutions here. So negative 8, negative 5. The x-axis. Solutions are on the x-axis. So first change the variables to x's. Second, find the solutions. X-axis. Well, the solutions were at negative 8 and negative 5. So x is going to equal negative 8. X is going to equal negative 5. Now, we're going to work from those solutions backwards. We got to make each one of these solutions equal to 0. So like this first one, x is equal to negative 8. We need to make that equal 0. So what we need to do is do the opposite operation. We see a negative 8, so I'm going to add 8. What you do to one side of the equation, you do to the other. X is plus 8, and it's going to equal 0. Here's your factor, x plus 8. On our next one, we have x equals negative 5. Let's make it equal 0. Opposite of negative 5 is add 5. That'd be 0 on the right side, and you get the left side is x plus 5. there's your factor. So our factors of x squared plus 13x plus 40 is x squared, x plus 8 and x plus 5. Those are your two factors. All right, let's do number 2. Well, the one thing I didn't talk about was greatest common factor on that first one. Let's take a look at number 2. We have 2 and 8, 24. Can we divide them all by something? Well, they're all even, so we can divide them all by the greatest common factor of 2. So if you divide them each by 2, we're going to take the 2 and put it on the outside. First term divided by 2 is x squared. 8 divided by 2 is 4x, and 24 divided by 2 is 12. Now I'm going to take on the inside here, and I'm going to factor that further. Well, at least we'll see if we can factor it further. So let's go to Desmos. It's already on x, so we don't have to change it to x. Minus 4x minus 12. Let's look at the graph. Negative 2 and 6, so they can be factored further. So negative 2 and 6 are my solutions. So let's, what we got here, we have x equals negative 2, x equals 6. Let's work backwards to find our factors. So we need to make each factor or each solution equal to 0. So here's one of our factors is x plus 2. Other factor is x minus 6. So altogether, we have the greatest common factor is 2, then we have x plus 2 and x minus 6. And there are 3 factors. Now let's try another one. Number 3, x squared minus 25. Is there a greatest common factor between them? No, nothing. I can divide by both. So I'm going to change the k to an x. And let's put it in Desmos. Negative 5 and 5 are my solutions. So x is going to equal 5. X is going to equal negative 5. Make those equal 0, so 5 is a positive, so we subtract 5. And we add 5. So our factors are x minus 5 and x plus 5. And I guess you could change them back to k. Not the worst thing in the world. Change them back. All right, number 4. I'm actually gonna, you should get, well, I'm gonna skip number 4. And I'm gonna go to number 5. So we look, is there a greatest common factor? 2, 5, and 3, no. We have x squared, x, and nothing with the 3. So we have, let's put this in the Desmos. So 2x squared plus 5x plus 3. Zoom it in on your x-axis. We have negative 1 and negative 1.5. All right, we need to figure out what that negative 1.5 is as a decimal. Make sure I plug it in right. You're going to click on the left side by the number 2 here, and you're going to see it as a fraction, negative 3 over 2. So negative 3 over 2 and negative 1. Negative 3 over 2 and x equals negative 1. Well, from the other problems, we know how to work out x equals negative 1. We're going to add 1. So here's one of your factors. Now with the fraction, you can't have fractions in the factors. We're not going to have those here. So I think the easiest way I've seen students work this out is they look at this as a division first. So we're going to do the opposite of divide. We're going to multiply. Instead of dividing by 2, you're going to multiply by 2. That's the opposite operation. Equals -3. And then now we add 3. So 2x plus 3 equals 0. And there's your other factor. So our factors for 2x squared plus 5x plus 3, this trinomial, is 2x plus 3. And it does not matter the order you write these in at all. By the commutative property of multiplication, it does not matter. You can write them in any order you want. But I just wanted to show you a fraction one. So now you should be able to do the rest of the problems, hopefully. Thanks for watching.